Thank you, Mr. Lieutenant Governor. I, like many of you, spent countless times rewriting my speech and choking back my emotions, so here we go. I'm at the age where my mind still thinks I'm 29. My sense of humor indicates that I'm probably 12. My body mostly keeps asking me if I'm sure I'm still not dead because I have such a bad cold. I was born in November of 1959, and I did not know my family until I was adopted by my parents, Sidney and Ethel Meekhof, in April of 1960. I grew up in a relatively small community in West Michigan, and I was the oldest of four adopted siblings. And as a young person, I never imagined that one day I would see my name on the door of the Michigan Senate Majority Leader's office. For the first 6 months of my life, I was a ward of this state. For the last 6+ years, I've had the privilege of helping to run this state. I think God has a great sense of humor. First, I want to thank the citizens of the 30th District and the 89th House District for sending me to Lansing. All of us in this chamber are here because the people back home thought enough of us to vote for us as their representative, and I will never forget that. I want to thank my high school teacher, my government teacher, Mr. Kensel. I can't even say his first name. I have so much respect for him. He was very instrumental in piquing my interest in public service. I can still quote him. Elected people from your community will be going to the Township Hall, to the State Capitol, or Washington, D.C. They will be making decisions that impact your life. Do you want them to make those decisions for you or with you? Well, Mr. Kensel, I chose with. Thank you. I'm sure each person who has occupied the Majority Leader's office brought along his or her own preconceived notions about what to expect, how to lead, what they hope to accomplish during their tenure as Majority Leader, and I was no different when I was selected by my caucus. However, my notions were quickly replaced with the daily reality of being a leader. The first thing I realized as leader that my daily responsibilities were not about being a political figure, but rather running the business of the small business called the Michigan Senate that has hundreds of employees, and with all the trials and tribulations that come with managing a large entity comprised of staff trying to balance the demands of professional life and their personal life. I also realized rather quickly the importance of surrounding myself with experienced staff that are experts in their individual roles and functions. The Majority Leader's office requires the work of many capable people to respond to the needs of the other 37 Senate office, central staff, and nonpartisan employees that are part of the Michigan Senate. The advice and counsel of trusted staff are critical to the success of any leader, and I'm particularly grateful for my team of staff, and I want to take time to thank Craig Ryan and Scott Hughes. I really like it when they dress alike. It's an ambiguous gay duo. Jennifer Merchant, Nicole Hankowitz, Jordan Hankowitz, Amber McCann, Renee Burnett, Amber Vrooman, who just got her job today. She's excited. Madeline Omentensky, Penny Blair, who we celebrated the other day. Jason DeVries, who many of you know, you can't miss him when he was here, 6'7", was my driver for 3.5 years. He's in the Michigan State Trooper School right now, and I'm hoping that when he graduates, he'll be my free ticket out of my parking pass, my parking tickets or my speeding tickets. Matt Sweeney, only my second favorite Sweeney. Dan Dundas, Catherine Jepiga, Amanda Price, Terry Marquardt. Thank you for being part of my dream team. This chamber is in great shape with you and your continued service. Some of you are going to work for Senator Shirkey, and I could not be more proud that this chamber is going to be handled well with your steady hands. Others that worked in my office, Kelly Thomas, Pete Langley. Well, he didn't really work in my office. He was kind of there. Rachel Hoekstra, Dennis Van Dam, who many of you know was my district director and passed way too early, and Bob DeVries. Bob. It's been a joy to watch you grow up. Where are you? Right there. Okay. I'm not supposed to make eye contact, sorry. It's been a joy to watch you grow up into your new role as a husband and father, and you must have like 15 kids by now. I will miss our take over the world strategy sessions. Your superior intellect and wit is and will be your tools for continued success, which I know is unlimited. I would list all the support staff individually, but we might be here for many more hours in order for me to give proper recognition to all those deserving folks. But I want to thank the Majority Communications and Policy staff. You wear many hats. You provide insight, analysis, and advice. You help us to communicate better with our constituents and with the public. I appreciate all your hard work. I want to thank the Legislative Services Bureau. You're truly the workhorses of the legislative process, and our accomplishments would not be possible without your efforts. I want to thank Secretary of the Senate and his staff, Jeff Cobb. I want to recognize the Senate session staff who all work so hard to make us look good and connect us with our constituents. I want to thank Senate sergeants led by Mike Ferlin. Thank you for keeping us safe, helping us to maintain order and decorum in the chamber. And I really appreciate when I asked him, when I became Majority Leader, I says, is it the fact that you'll be jumping in front of me to take a bullet? And he says, no, but I'll shoot the hell out of the guy who shoots you. I want to thank our counterparts in the House for their willingness to be part of the solution. We do not often see eye to eye, but together we have accomplished many good things for our state. And I want to thank our governor. I admire our governor for his unwavering commitment to relentless positive action. I know that phrase probably elicits a groan and a little eye roll at this point. But without Governor Snyder's RPA, Michigan would not be as prosperous as it is today. The governor set out on a mission to turn our economy around. He was bold, he was determined, and at times he was unpopular. And when he was with the Senate, he was often right. Progress in the state requires partnership, and I tried to be a good partner to the governor, and I believe he did the same. I want to thank the many advocates who diligently represent their clients and the many interests of the citizens of Michigan. There are far too many to list them all, but there are a few that have been extremely helpful to me. Scott Faustin, Shelley Stahl, Bill Wirtz, Becky Beckler, Mike Hawks, Barb Farah, John Smalley, Steve Linder, Tim Ward, Brendan Ringlever, Nicole Nystrom. I was fortunate to serve as Majority Leader during a time when the legislative leadership and the governor were of the same party. We already shared a basic common political ideology and the philosophy about the role and purpose of government in the lives of citizens. Early on, I thought being from the same party would make policy meetings and budget negotiations easier. Sometimes it did. Other times we struggled to reach consensus and experienced normal frustration and irritation with one another. The lesson I learned from many of my interactions as a Majority Leader is you find your allies in the most unlikely places. My most rewarding friendships and my most productive partnerships were found in individuals with whom I share common values, interests, and attitudes, but politics was not the only catalyst for a common bond. Often my best relationships were formed despite political affiliation. And I want to take a moment to recognize my friend, Senator from Flint, the Minority Leader Jim Ananich. I'm sure I speak for both of us when I say our friendship was not one I would have anticipated, but it is one I will cherish always. You're a tremendous advocate for your constituents. You're honest, you're trustworthy, and pragmatic, and I am fortunate to have had you as an ally and a foe. I wish there were more people like you in this world. I treasure the video I received a number of years back on my birthday from you and your son Jake. Your son and I share the bond of being adopted. In his video message, I will always cherish, and it said, "Happy birthday, Uncle Arlan." Regardless of what crazy things we text each other on weekends, you will never escape being my friend. Another unlikely friend is my former House colleague, Barb Byram. We rarely see eye to eye on anything political, and you too will never escape being my friend. I distinctly remember our meeting with the incoming freshmen after you and I were freshmen for the first year. Clerk Rando asked us to come in and talk to the incoming freshmen to see what bipartisanship was like, what working with the other side was like. It was a crisp November evening after we had dinner, and we walked outside, and we were in the middle of Michigan looking at the Capitol with the flags flying over there and lights shining on it. And the conversation went something like this: if you're never, or you lose your interest or aren't impressed with what you're seeing right now, go home and send somebody else. Rebecca Warren, you and I will likely be known as a political odd couple. I'll miss sharing birthday cake with you. I'm particularly proud of the state park passport legislation that we've completed, and every compliment you receive from members in this chamber is well-earned and well-deserved. As you return to the lower chamber, I am confident your style, experience, cooperative nature will be the examples for both of the caucuses. I'm expecting big things from you. I'm certain predecessors sought this office intending to be a political party leader or even had a plan to use the role to propel themselves into higher office. For me, term limits are a blessing. I'm happy to know my tenure is finite. Being majority leader was as far-flung a goal as I had ever hoped to accomplish. I looked for every opportunity to push my fellow senators out in front when they were the true champions for the issue of the day. I viewed my role as a leader kind of like duck hunting or a charter fishing captain. I'm just positioning the boat so you can shoot the ducks or catch the fish. Many of you have mentioned you were grateful for my hands-off approach to your committee work. That too was intentional, so that you as the chairman would be champion of the issue and also place you front and center and to take the heat when the issue was not going well. That too was intentional. It was necessary for my mental health to make sure I delegated those opportunities to you. Perhaps it's my West Michigan roots that make me shun the spotlight. I also, by nature, am an introvert. It took a long time to accept the responsibility of spokesperson and public representative for the caucus and this chamber. In the end, I'm a better leader, a more rounded person for having learned how to communicate the importance of our actions in the Senate. That was not a role that came natural to me. Thank you, Amber McCann, for your coaching skills, or nagging, take your pick, doesn't matter, either one. As I reflect on my time as leader, I hope that my fellow members are pleased with my service on their behalf. I hope I was a worthy representative and effective ambassador for our caucus. And as I look around this chamber, I'm struck by how many of us are leaving. 21 in my own caucus. I recently read an article in the Detroit News that together we take a combined 286 years of legislative experience and service. We take it out the door. I know there are many out there who would say good riddance, but I want to take a moment to tell you how important you all have been to me. Darwin Bohr. If white-tailed deer had a post office displaying their top 10 most wanted, you're number one on their list. Jack Brandenburg. I promised in caucus to have the most epic Jack Brandenburg story. Here we go. First elected in the House, come in January, doesn't go well, the budget process is stalled. It's like mid-October, we're 60-some hours on the House floor. I don't know Jack Brandenburg very well, he seems kind of gruff, and they said he's from Macomb, he shoots sideways, so they were, it was a little bit intimidating. And I was sitting towards the front, and it was early or late one evening or early one morning, and my floor phone rang, and I thought, who's calling me? This must be important. I picked up my phone, didn't know it was Jack. He's sitting in the back with John Pastor and others, cracking jokes and throwing candy at people. And he says, "Hey, rookie, you vote for this tax, I'll cut off your head with an axe." I deleted the expletives in there. I didn't say that. It's a family show. And for the record, Jack, I voted no. All right? I voted no. Coleman Young. What a big-hearted man you are. I remember you like to start your time in statements by saying you like to start with a quote. Sometimes your quotes help make a political point or a policy point, other times not so much. Here's an example. Madam President, I'd like to start with a quote, and then you proceeded to quote yourself. Tom Casperson. When the UP secedes, you will be the president or pope, depending on how they make their choice. I don't know how they're going to do it. You're an amazing representative for the UP, and I thank you for your friendship. Judy Emmons. Happy birthday, dear. Judy was my first seatmate. She sat on my left, and Neil Nitz sat on my right. So needless to say, I only leaned to the left because there wasn't any room on my right. Judy, we share the mantle of caring for aging parents, and I truly treasure your friendship and our discussions. Thank you for being a good listener. Mike Green. We share our love of grandkids, firearms, and hunting. And I am pleased. Now look at that. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's awesome. I am so pleased to share this passion and help pass on the love of the outdoors to our grandkids. We're going to make the next generation really appreciate that. Jeff Hansen and Mo Hood. I view you two guys as the conscience of the Senate and my friends. Both of you are my brothers from another mother. I love you guys. Dave Hildebrand. I often joke because we're the more stately bunch here, that we should have walk-up music every once in a while like the baseball players do. And I've thought of a couple for a couple of you. And as Dave Hildebrand would walk up to the microphone, and was going through my head is, money, 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 money. Thank you for sharing your love of fishing with me and my father. Our trips out of Frankfurt were epic. Joe Hune. Walk-up music. Everybody's holding their breath on this one. Anything from Joe Diffie? Yeah, right? Your ability to command a room with just your laugh is infectious. It's been a pleasure to watch you grow up into your highest calling, husband and father. Marty Nolenberg, Ken Horn, Lieutenant Governor Calley, and I, 4 of the 8 Republicans that came in the House in 2007. Red Dog, I heard you say it, Ken. Pretty amazing. I have a Ken Horn story. I was going to scrub it, but I'm going to tell it now. House Communications was crafting some mailing for Ken, and it was about the fall and watch out for deer, so make sure when you're out there, you honk your horn, and they had horn in parentheses. Our colleague, then Kim Meltzer, said we have to really check the House Communications staff to make sure that we do the proofreading on that, because when they did the same thing for her, it said, make sure you honk your Meltzers. Mike Kowal, Jim Marlowe, my Oakland County brothers, thank you for helping me navigate the politics of your community. It's far different than my community and equally important to the success of our state. If I needed to run into a burning building or fight from a foxhole, I know that both of you would be there. Thank you, Brother Mike and Jim. Mike Noss, my friend. You can handle the most difficult and complicated subjects, and your grace under pressure is something that future and current committee chairs should try to emulate. So I hope there's lots of video of you running a committee, work groups, because that's what people should do. Thank you. John Prose and Mike Shirkey. Your prayer support and wise counsel carried me, and I don't think you know how much. I so appreciate you. Words can't describe how grateful I am for both of you. Mike Shirkey. As you become the new leader in the Senate, I hope you are not burdened with a lot of troubles. But if you are, I pray it's just enough to drive you to your knees to seek God's wisdom. Dave Robertson. When I grow up, I want to be Dave Robertson. And since I haven't grown up till now, I guess I don't have to. Your command of history, your passion, your command of the English language, and as Tanya said, dueling kleptocracies, I still don't know what that means. Tori Rocca, fastest, most efficient committee of all time. Next person. Tanya Shoemaker. Another one of my seatmates. I learned very on to make sure Tanya was on my side, because if she's not on your side, she is a formidable force of nature. You and Margaret will always be known as the Blonderage. Jim Stamas, David Kniezek, Vince Gregory, Adam Ollier. Thank you for your service to this country. Each time I meet a former or current military member, I often think to myself, where do we get more people like this? You four gentlemen confirm that thought. A few others I wish to thank: Randy Richardville, Bill Huizinga, Mark Jansen, Kevin Elsenheimer, Roger Kahn, Fulton Sheen, Jace Bolger. Thanks for investing your wisdom in me. Michigan is the upper chamber. Oh, I'm sorry, before I go to that. Margaret. How did I get fit, Margaret? Your tenacity and drive and work ethic are amazing. In fact, when I see the commercial of the Energizer Bunny, I'm shocked that your picture isn't on the face of the bunny. You have an amazing constituent relations, and I think everybody in your community's probably gotten at least 3 notes from you at this point. Michigan Senate Chamber is the upper chamber of the state legislature. The body has a reputation for being deliberative and for holding to values like integrity, trust, and respect. As an elected official, I'm keenly aware of the fact that the public does not often hold my kind in high regard. There are many who seek public office for the wrong reasons, and they do little to elevate their reputation and their conduct and their role once they assume office. For the most part, I've had the pleasure of serving with very fine men and women whose intentions were true and whose actions were honorable. I have known many great leaders and many talented individuals who are dedicated to making their communities better and improving Michigan. I received a lot of advice when I became Majority Leader, but one comment particularly sticks out. Leave the legislature the same person as when you arrive. I can't abide by that advice. I'm not the same person who marveled at my name on the plaque next to the office of the Majority Leader. I'm wiser and smarter, older, more humbled, and much better off for having known all of you and the experiences of this 8 years. I began my remarks with my family, and I'll end by recognizing the most important people in my life. First, my wife, Barb. From the first time we exchanged a smile in middle school math class, I knew you were the one. Without the support and partnership of my wife, I would not be the man I am today. I'm so blessed to have her by my side. I can't thank you enough for being a godly, biblical wife. I love you. My children, Adrian and Missy, Rich and Sarah, Meredith and Justin. The most important job I will ever have is that of dad. I hope you are as proud of me as I am of all of you. God has gifted each one of you with talents far different than mine, and it gives me great pride to know you are serving God and using the talents that He has given you. Of course, I need to take a moment to brag about my grandkids. Kylan and Easton, Addison, Jackson, Sydney, and Roman. I hope someday I could add a few more names to that list. No pressure, kids. If you have grandkids, you know how special it is when you become a grandparent. I'm especially grateful to be a grandpa. And when I decided to seek the office of Majority Leader, my wife told me one of my jobs would not be done until all our kids and grandkids all lived in Michigan. Well, as you know, technology is great. It allows us to keep in touch with our families wherever they may be in the world, but Skype is no replacement for a hug. I've yet to accomplish that goal, like getting all of our kids and grandkids back to Michigan, but that gives me something to do in January. I also want to take a moment to recognize my parents. They created a family, and that family changed my life. My dad recently passed away, and many of you came to pay your respects and offer a hug and some kind words. Your support meant so much to me. Not a day passes I don't think of him. My dad's passing was difficult and sad, but it was also a great opportunity to reflect. And I can say without hesitation that I am a very thankful and very blessed man. Above all, I'm grateful for the love and regular communication with my God. Through the most difficult times in my life, many of them in this current role, He has been most gracious, providing everything I need. I was recently asked, what will I miss? I'll miss you. Right before we came back into order, I was sitting back and just marveling at the noise and the talking and reflecting on a number of you. Very few of you talked about anything in which you worked, but you talked about the time you've invested in other people and friends. I'll miss you. I conclude my remarks by wishing you all a Merry Christmas, a blessed holiday season, and a healthy and happy New Year. Thank you all. Thank you all for choosing me as your leader. I'll see you soon. It truly has been an honor. God bless you. God bless Michigan. And God bless America.